Good evening, everybody. It is Steve Lookner with Agenda Free TV coming to you with breaking news. President Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. This is after Biden and the White House saying for months and months that he would not pardon his son. I actually just saw a clip of an interview on June 6th with ABC TV in which Biden said he wasn't going to pardon his son. So him and the White House had repeatedly said this was not going to happen, but it has happened. Biden has pardoned his son, Hunter, who was convicted on multiple federal charges on a charge in a gun-related case, and a tax charges. And from what the expert opinion I've seen is that he was quite likely to face some prison time for these charges, but he has been pardoned now by President Biden, and I'm going to read you the statement that President Biden made, and we're going to take some of your comments on the air. So, President Biden pardoning his son, Hunter Biden. Look at that. There it is. So we want to bring you a live update on this. And also, hang on a moment here. Let me just do something real quick. I want to thank our moderators who are here. And I just need to get something on the screen. Give me 1 sec here. Thanks for your patience. I'm pulling up a chat window so I can see it. So I can see what people are saying. That's better. Hey, thanks so much to our moderators on YouTube. We have Ruth Krafasi is moderating right now. Thank you. Roberts May Queen is moderating. Over there on Twitch, A Moment of Lovely, Bash and Girl, and Surly Dev. And also thanks to our Facebook moderators. Oh, thanks to Linda Belk and Larry on X, and thanks to our Facebook moderators as well. We have Kay Larry, Body, Margaret Riley there, Ronald Egnor. Thanks to all of our moderators there. All right, here's the statement. Our viewer Joanne Gradwall says, no surprise. That's what our viewer says. And I'm sure we'll have some disagreements on this in the chat. Our viewer Lade says, surprise, surprise, surprise. Lynn M123 thinks he should get some jail time. Toy Thomas says, about time he did it and got it over with. Let's see. I'm gonna read you some other comments here. Tamaleta says they can find new charges. Well, if there's evidence that he committed some other crime, then in theory he could be charged with a different crime. But that you'd have to come up with evidence that he broke the law in some federal law in some other way. Let's see here. Our viewer Michelle Quintana says, I'm not going to lie. If it were my kid, I would do the same. Panzer says, rules for thee. Jan's Creation said he said he would never do this. That is true. He and the White House said he would not do it repeatedly. Valentine Patriot says, rules for us, not for them. Texas Patriot says these were ridiculous charges brought up because the GOP wanted to make it seem like he was dirty. He filled out a form wrong. You're talking about the gun charges. We'll go over this. All right, let's read Biden's statement here. Let's read President Biden's statement. By the way, thanks to Riddles, our member, and The Guardian one, our new member. Here is Joe Biden's statement. Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interview with the Justice Department's decision-making. And I kept my word as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. So he believes his son was selectively and unfairly prosecuted because he was his son. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It was clear that Hunter was treated differently. So Joe Biden believes that the crimes that his son were charged for are not typically crimes that somebody would get charged for and get possible jail time like Hunter Biden looked like he was going to. President Biden says the charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal, agreed to by the Department of Justice, unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. There was a plea deal which fell apart at the last minute. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, and even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I have followed a simple principle: just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. I mean, this is kind of weird because he did say repeatedly, him in the White House said repeatedly that he wasn't going to pardon him. So that wasn't the truth. Anyways, he says they'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, so he's saying that this weekend is when he decided this weekend that this was a miscarriage of justice. He said, once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. I mean, I guess I'm trying to read it charitably. I mean, he says that I made the decision this weekend. So, I mean, one way to read that is he decided it was a miscarriage of justice this weekend. So that would be a charitable reading, because then you could say, well, back in June when he said he wasn't going to do it, he didn't think it was a miscarriage of justice, and he really thought it over this weekend and decided it was a miscarriage of justice. I mean, there's another way of reading that, which is that the thing he decided this weekend was to make the pardon, but he didn't change his feelings about the miscarriage of justice. Anyways, so that was his statement. By the way, a big thanks to DutchSense for your support. But DutchSense says, I love politics. Haha. Thanks, Dutch. That's really nice of you. Thanks, Captain Jerry Donnelly for your support. Thanks to Kane for your support. Kane says, no, Kane, there's going to be no use of the 25th Amendment to remove him from power. That's not happening. That is not going to happen, Kane. Kane thinks Kamala Harris and Obama are going to use the 25th Amendment to out him and she moves in. First of all, Trump would still take over. But second of all, no, that's not going to happen. But thank you, Kane. I do appreciate your support. Thank you also, Wicked Knight, for your support. Thanks for being a member. Thank you, Bebop and Rocksteady. Bebop and Rocksteady thought the gun charge was bogus and infringes on his and all Americans' constitutional right. Thank you, Emily the Goat, for your support. So, who says, who set the Trump bots to crybaby mode? Wah. That's what Emily the Goat says. Thanks, Zarina. Zarina says he has lived through hell in a political family. Thanks also Stacey Bashford, who says Biden should be impeached and jailed. Did he break some crime I don't know about? Stacey, what crime are you accusing him of? Stacey says Biden should be impeached and jailed. Thanks, Knox Corvus and Jennifer Rochelle for being members. Let me read some more comments from you guys here. Patriotic Standard says, I expect nothing less from the corrupt Bidens. Wait until they look into their China dealings. I think Congress has been looking into that for years. The Republicans in the House have been looking into that for years, if I'm not correct. Kim Carter says, who didn't see this coming? Ursula Anderson says, rich people rules just how it is. Well, hey, thanks to PZ Papa Zulu for the gift memberships. Thanks also Ben Foster for your support. Ben says, bunch of crooks. Thanks Stormy Willow for your support. And Smoke and Thrills. Smoke and Thrills thinks it's true about others with same charges getting less. Thanks also to Crazy Yoda for your support. Crazy Yoda said, why did he say he wouldn't pardon Hunter if he thought it was selective prosecution? I'm sure people in jail for same charge wish their dad was president. I mean, look, so he could have just said, if he, I have a hard time thinking that his views on this have suddenly changed. I have a hard time thinking that President Biden suddenly started thinking this weekend this was a miscarriage of justice. So he could have just not answered questions about whether he was going to pardon his son. He could have just said, when asked, I'm not going to comment on that right now. He could have said a million things. He could have even said something like, I don't like the idea of that, but I don't want to commit to anything. You know what I'm saying? Or he could have just said no comment. He could have said something like, no comment, this is an ongoing case, which is kind of an evasion, but you could just say that. But he didn't. He said in the White House said repeatedly that there were going to be no pardons. So he didn't have to say that. He could have just not answered the question. So, whatever you think of this, he in the White House repeatedly said that he was not going to pardon him. Just to be clear. Outdoor Stuff said Trump would have done the same damn thing. Thanks to CornPop82, who thinks Kash Patel has them shaking in their boots, Trump's nominee for FBI director, who would need to be confirmed by the Senate, by the way, after Trump fires the current FBI director. Thank you, Yastreb, for your support. And Zen Master, thanks for the gift memberships. And PZ Papa Zulu, thanks for the gift memberships. Let's read this statement again. Actually, I think there's a statement from Hunter Biden. Let me show you that, and then we'll read the statement again. Hang on a second. Yes, here is a statement from Hunter Biden that was posted by Matt Weiser, who is with the Washington Post. Okay, so Matt Weiser with the Washington Post posted a statement from Hunter Biden. Let me show you that. Hang on. So again, hat tip to Matt Weiser of the Washington Post, who posted this statement from Hunter Biden. I'm going to show you Hunter Biden's statement right now. And the screen grab is from Matt Weiser as well. So thank you, Matt, for posting that. Oops. I have to pull it up here again. Here it is. One moment here. One moment. Look at the headline. Biden pardons his son Hunter despite previous pledges not to. That's from Associated Press. Okay, again, Matt Weiser of Washington Post posted this statement from Hunter Biden. It says, I have admitted and taken responsibility for my mistakes during the darkest days of my addiction, mistakes that have been exploited to publicly humiliate and shame me and my family for political sport. Despite all of this, I have maintained my sobriety for more than 5 years because of my deep faith and the unwavering love and support of my family and friends. In the throes of addiction, I squandered many opportunities and advantages. In recovery, we can be given the opportunity to make amends where possible and rebuild our lives if we never take for granted the mercy that we have been afforded. I will never take the clemency I have been given today for granted and will devote the life I have rebuilt to helping those who are still sick and suffering. It's interesting in that statement, that statement doesn't even really comment on the case. You know that? It doesn't even make a comment about the case specifically. It doesn't say anything about, these charges were politically motivated or anything. It doesn't even say that, right? Says, I've taken responsibility. Yeah, it really doesn't even talk about the cases that he was convicted in. Interesting. Has Trump posted on Truth Social yet? Good question. No, not yet. I'm sure he will. All right, hang on a moment. Hang on a moment. Okay. Again, President Biden has pardoned his son Hunter Biden. We're going to read Biden's statement again, and we're going to take your comments on the air. Thank you to Ken Lance for your support. Ken says double standards. Perhaps a president shouldn't be able to pardon a family member. It's happened multiple times before. I was just hearing on TV, there were a couple cases that were being talked about on TV right before I came on the air. One was Bill Clinton pardoning his half-brother. President Trump pardoned the father-in-law of his son-in-law, Charles Kushner. If I have that right. Yes. It's Jared Kushner's. Oh no. Charles Kushner is the father of Trump's son-in-law. And Trump issued a pardon to him. Anyways, we can talk more about that in a second. But let's read. I want to read you Hunter Biden's President Biden's statement again. Our view. Let me take a few more comments too. Garlic Press 03 says, I was shocked. I never saw this coming. Joe pardoning his son. John Griffith thinks that Biden just proved to everyone that Hunter was guilty. Vicky Martin thinks Trump's going to be very angry on Truth Social. By the way, quick thanks to The Guardian 1. That is incredibly generous of you, The Guardian 1. Wow. That is very nice of you, The Guardian 1. Thanks for your support. Thanks also to John DFW for your support. John says, not a Biden fan, but he did the right thing. But weird, he recently said there wouldn't be a pardon. That's interesting. So John is not a Biden fan. He thinks Biden did the right thing, but he also points out that Biden recently said there wouldn't be a pardon. He repeatedly said this. Thanks to Silver Sargent for your support. Silver Sargent says, so Biden is claiming it was a miscarriage of justice by his own Justice Department? That's laughable. Running on empty saying, by saying he takes responsibility, isn't Hunter saying he did it, which goes against it being politically motivated? I'll have to read, it's an interesting question running on empty. I'll have to read Hunter Biden's statement again. He didn't really say anything specific about, I don't even know that he said, he didn't say, I really didn't comment on the specifics of the cases or the way they were handled. We'll show you Hunter Biden's statement again. And thank you also to Stevie Augie, who says, the world is not fair, shocked Pikachu face. Don't like Biden, but would do the same. That's a second viewer who has said, I don't like Biden, but I would do the same. JB says, Hunter is going to run for president. By the way, one of our viewers, Robbie, says so much for his legacy. So you know now that if Trump pardons people who were jailed for January 6th crimes, right? you know now that a response, that if there's people who complain about those pardons, a response is going to be, well, Biden just pardoned his son, so what's wrong with doing this? R.J. Gordon says, this is nothing new with this administration, no surprises. Solrak says, I jumped on my lunch at work when I saw this headline. Wow, crazy, ha ha ha. Adrian Goodman says, he's like the rest of them, full of rubbish. A quick thanks to Steve, hold on a second. Richard Foley, thanks for your support, Richard Foley. And Boomer Wow. Boomer Wow thinks Hunter got a free pass for taking that no-show, no-work Ukraine job he took. And the 10% for the big guy? How is he being treated unfairly? That's what Boomer Wow says. Wow. How about this, guys? Also, it's kind of a Sunday night news dump. This wasn't announced at noon on a weekday. Sunday night after Thanksgiving news dump. Although I guess it could have been announced later at night. All right, let's read the statement again from President Biden. Here it is. Here is the statement from President Biden. Today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter Biden. From the day I took, and again, a quick reminder, Biden said and the White House said multiple times that he was not going to pardon Hunter Biden. Right before coming on the air, I saw a clip on TV, which is an ABC News interview from June 6th, in which Hunter Biden clearly says he's not going to pardon, in which Joe Biden says he told ABC News, for example, in an interview on June 6th, he is not going to pardon Hunter. I remember one time, I think we were doing coverage, and it was specifically said by the White House press secretary, there's not going to be a pardon. And I'm guessing there's other cases as well. But just to be clear, he did explicitly say he was not going to pardon him. Today, I signed a pardon for my son, Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. Without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser, people are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes, hold on a second here. One moment here. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. He's saying here, he believes that if Hunter was not Hunter Biden, he would not be prosecuted for these things in the same way, and that he was selectively prosecuted because he's Biden's son. The charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. So he believes he is accusing the Justice Department of bringing those charges because they were made to or told to by his Republicans in Congress. I mean, he literally says, my political opponents in Congress instigated these charges. Right? That's what he says. The charges in his cases came about after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases, says President Biden. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion that Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. So he thinks more selective prosecutions are coming. That's what he thinks, what he would call selective prosecutions. Enough is enough, he says. For my entire career. I got to read you the actual pardon announcement at the bottom. For my entire career, President Biden says, I have followed a simple principle: just tell the American people the truth. And I do need to point out again that earlier this year, he in the White House said multiple times, I will not pardon Hunter Biden. So just an obvious case where that would not be the truth, unless somehow he changed his mind between then and now. Again, he says, for my entire career, I have followed a simple principle: just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system, but as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. So he claims he made the decision this weekend. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. He also says a father. So he's literally, he's implying, I'm not saying this. It says it in the document. It says it in the statement. The statement implies that part of the reason he is pardoning Hunter Biden is because he is his father. It literally says it. I mean, don't blame me if you don't like that, because it literally says it in the statement. Understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. So he does say that his being Hunter Biden's father is part of this decision-making process. Okay. Here is the announcement. To all, executive grant of clemency from Biden. To all to whom these presents shall come greeting. I guess this is the way you have to make these statements or something, or the way you usually make them. Be it known that this day, I, Joe Biden, President of the United States, pursuant to my powers under Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the Constitution, have granted unto Robert Hunter Biden a full and unconditional pardon for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 21st, 2014. Oh, this is for everything. So he can't be pardoned for anything else. Isn't it true that he can't be charged with any other federal charges for anything he did from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2014? Right? That's it. He can't be charged for anything else he did during that time. As B&O News Live said the same thing. But yeah, I mean, it's just clear from that. It says he, so it's not like Trump, and when was he working for like Burisma? If you're wondering about that, I have to go to Wikipedia and see. From 2013 to 2020, he served as a member of the board of the China-based private equity fund BHR Partners. That's what it says in Wikipedia. So it's a little confusing. I don't know exactly when he was doing different work for different places. He did work for a equity fund, a China-based private equity fund from 2013 to 2020. Anyways, in April 2014, Biden joined the board of Burisma Holdings, owned by Ukrainian oligarch and former politician Mykola Zlochevsky. So if you think, I mean, people have different opinions on this. If you think Hunter Biden did something illegal when he was on the board of Burisma Holdings, well, he cannot be charged with federal crimes for that now, because he started working at Burisma in 2014. but this literally says, for those offenses against the United States, those would be federal crimes, which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024, but including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions. Blah, 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 blah. He is pardoned. So he cannot be charged for those. So there you go. So if you think that the Trump White House is going to try to charge Hunter Biden with something else, it would have to be for something he did before 2014. I mean, that's up to the president. The president can pardon for specific crimes. By the way, a quick update. Jackie Heinrich with Fox News reports that there will not be any press briefing for the next few days. Biden issued the pardon before going on a plane to Angola late tonight. And the press secretary will take questions on Air Force One en route, but off camera. Okay. This would be federal crimes, by the way. These would need to be, so if he committed a state crime, between January 1st, 2014 and December 1st, 2024, he could still be charged for that because a president can only pardon for federal crimes. Yeah, look, this, I know that looks weird, but that is a power a president has. You can pardon someone for anything they might be charged with in a certain time. By the way, a quick thank you to Louis R. for your support. Louis R. says, from my perspective as a Democrat, just a total abuse of power by President Biden. Disappointing day for the country. That's from Louis R., who's a Democrat. Thank you also, Exceedy, for your support. Thank you, Exceedy. And also Crazy Yoda, who says Biden's DOJ charged him. His problem is with them, not Republicans. Or Trump or the man on the moon. Thanks, Rebecca, for your support. And Sharona for being a member. Rebecca says, so far from true democracy on so many levels. Thank you, Deputy of Memes, for your support. Also, Gary Eckert, thanks for being a member. No, Gary, Trump pardoned his son-in-law's father. So I don't know if you count that as a family member. Because Gary says last president to pardon a family member, Clinton. Bill Clinton pardoned his half-brother. But, I mean, it depends. If you consider Jared Kushner's father a Trump family member, well, he pardoned Jared Kushner's father. But maybe different people have different thoughts on whether he counts as a family member. Thank you, Nikos Kostianis, for being a member. Nico says, every president will say he's not going to pardon a relative until the end of the term. Thank you, Chandra, our moderator. Thanks, Chandra, for the donation. That's really nice of you. Thanks also, KC Steve, who says, we all know this was done for one reason, so they could host Saturday Night Live together. Thanks to our new member, Lisa Sawyer. Thanks, Bob Loblaw, who says, why now is he setting up to resign would be super. I don't know when exactly, I don't think he's setting up to resign, but I don't know exactly when the Hunter Biden sentencing was supposed to be. Hang on, I got to get you some updates here. Nothing from Trump on True Social yet, by the way. Hunter Biden was going to be sentenced for gun charges on December 4th, according to a Delaware Online article from September. Now, I don't know if that got changed. Oh, wait. Hold on. That might have been changed. An ABC News article in late September said it would be December 12th. So according to an ABC News article from late September, Hunter Biden's sentencing on gun charges was supposed to be December 12th. Now, I don't know when his sentencing on the tax charges. His tax charges were scheduled to be sentenced on December 16th. So his two sentencing hearings that were coming up, at least according to this ABC News article from 2 months ago, were on December 12th and December 16th. So you could argue that maybe President Biden wanted to do it before then. Why this specific day, I don't know. That's interesting, though. All right, I got to get you some more coverage of this and thoughts on this and updates. Oh, I got to read you Hunter Biden's statement again. By the way, quick thanks to A Moment of Lovely for your support on Twitch. Let me show you Hunter Biden's statement again. Hang on a moment. One moment here. I'm going to read you the Hunter Biden statement, which was posted by Matt Weiser of the Washington Post. Give me one moment here. What is this? Hold on. Oh, no. Give me 1 second here. Oops. All right, here we go. Statement coming up. I'm going to read you the statement from Hunter Biden. According to Matt Weiser. Here is the statement from Hunter Biden according to Matt Weiser. The statement from Hunter Biden is, I have admitted and taken responsibility for my mistakes during the darkest days of my addiction. Mistakes that have been exploited to publicly humiliate and shame me and my family for political sport. Despite of this, I have maintained my sobriety for more than 5 years because of my deep faith in the unwavering love and support of my family and friends. In the throes of addiction, I squandered many opportunities and advantages. In recovery, we can be given the opportunity to make amends where possible and rebuild our lives if we never take for granted the mercy that we have been afforded. I will never take the clemency I have been given today for granted and will devote the life I have rebuilt to helping those who are still sick and suffering. So he doesn't really even comment on his cases. I mean, he says he has made mistakes that have been exploited to publicly humiliate and shame him and his family for political sport. He doesn't even say... He literally doesn't even mention specifics about the cases. He doesn't say, I shouldn't have been prosecuted. He didn't say, I'm guilty or I'm not guilty. He says, I have admitted and taken responsibility for my mistakes during the darkest days of my addiction. So maybe he said specifics in the past. But I just want to be clear, in this statement today, there's nothing about, no specifics on the cases, nothing about, how... well, this is just because, it's very different from his father's statement. It doesn't really talk about the cases at all, his statement today, which is interesting. And he doesn't specifically say I've taken responsibility for the things I was accused of in these cases. He just says, I have admitted and taken responsibility for my mistakes during the darkest days of my addiction. So again, I don't know specifically what he said in the past, but it's interesting, the statement. Let's see here. Give me 1 second here. We will give you more updates. All right. Let's take some more comments on the air and get you some more updates. And I want to just see, let me show you some reporting on this too. I want to show you some reporting. Here's how AP is reporting the story. Biden pardons his son Hunter despite previous pledges not to. There's the headline from Associated Press. By the way, thanks so much to Lunar Guardian, our member, and also Anthony Ciaccio, who says two things can be true at the same time. Hunter Biden was prosecuted for political reasons, but to be fair, so was Trump. Manhattan jury was just as unfair, says Anthony Ciaccio. Thanks, Accedi, for your support. E says it is expected they always use pardon power. Killmonger says now pardon the millions of black men and women his crime bill from the 90s imprisoned. JPAV thinks Biden has many more surprises before his departure from the White House. Honey Hollow Homestead says, I knew it. I knew Biden was lying when he said he wouldn't pardon his son. He has always bailed out his son. Supernatural Infinite Supreme says, wow. Paul Tissue says, Joe has made a mockery of our justice system. So AP says, President Biden pardoned his son Hunter on Sunday night, sparing the younger Biden a possible prison sentence for federal felony gun and tax convictions and reversing his past promises not to use the extraordinary powers of the presidency for the benefit of his family members. The Democratic president had previously said he would not pardon his son or commute his sentence after Hunter's convictions in the two cases in Delaware and California. The move comes weeks before Hunter Biden was set to receive his punishment after his trial conviction in the gun case and guilty plea on tax charges. And less than 2 months before President-elect Trump is set to return to the White House. AP... They're not like super anti-Biden or anything, AP. AP says this casts a pall over the elder Biden's legacy. Biden, who time and again pledged to Americans that he would restore norms and respect for rule of law after Trump's first term in office, ultimately used his position to help his son, breaking his public pledge to Americans that he would do no such thing. Wow. That's pretty harsh from AP when, I mean, they normally, again, they don't write lots of negative articles about Biden or anything. In June, Biden categorically ruled out a pardon or commutation for his son, telling reporters as his son faced trial in the Delaware gun case, I abide by the jury decision. I will do that and I will not pardon him. As recently as November 8th, days after Trump's victory, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre ruled out a pardon or clemency for the younger Biden, saying, we've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no. Wow. I got to post something about this. I will in a second. I will later. Okay. And just some background here from this article, from the AP article. Here's a little background. Hunter Biden was convicted in June in Delaware, in Delaware federal court, of 3 felonies for purchasing a gun in 2018 when prosecutors said he lied on a federal form by claiming he was not illegally addicted or using drugs. So he bought a gun in 2018 and prosecutors said he lied on a federal form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs when he bought the gun. Okay? That was one conviction. Another conviction was he was set to stand trial in September in the California case, accusing him of failing to pay at least $1.4 million in taxes, but he agreed to plead guilty to misdemeanor and felony charges in a surprise move hours after jury selection was set to begin. So he pleaded guilty in that case. The tax charges carry up to 17 years behind bars, and the gun charges are punishable by up to 25 years in prison, though federal sentencing guidelines were expected to call for far less time, and it was possible he would avoid prison time entirely. I was watching an expert tonight who said he thought he would have gotten some prison time. He thought this was quite likely. Hunter Biden was supposed to be sentenced this month in these 2 federal cases. Oh, did James Comer, one of the Republican chairmen leading congressional investigations into Biden's family, blasted the president's decision to issue his son a pardon, to issue Hunter Biden a pardon, saying the evidence against Hunter was just the tip of the iceberg, he claims. And Biden is hardly the first president to deploy his pardon powers to benefit those close to him, says AP. In his final weeks in office, Trump pardoned Charles Kushner, the father of his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, as well as multiple allies convicted in special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Trump this week announced plans to nominate the elder Kushner to be the U.S. envoy to France in his next administration. Okay. Wow. Rivers says, not surprised, but it's still angering. Let me show you what James Comer said. Again, James Comer is a Republican representative in the House who has been helping to lead congressional investigations into Biden's family. So here's what James Comer said. He says, Joe Biden has lied from the start to the finish about his family's corrupt influence peddling activities. Not only has he falsely claimed he never met with his son's foreign business associates and that his son did nothing wrong, but he also lied when he said he would not pardon Hunter Biden. The charges Hunter faced were just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, that's what he says. We'll see if we hear anything more. He says, the charges that Hunter faced were just the tip of the iceberg, and the blatant corruption that President Biden and the Biden crime family have lied about to the American people. It's unfortunate that, rather than come clean about their decades of wrongdoing, President Biden and his family continue to do everything they can to avoid accountability. That's from James Comer. All right, let's see here. Again, Biden has repeatedly said he would not pardon him. Hold on a moment. Hang on a moment. Larry Sabato who is a politics expert who I follow, he posted on X, I guess this would be a Christmas Eve story. I guess wrong. He was saying he thought that it would be announced at some time to kind of bury it. Sunday, late Sunday. When did this come out? This came out about 7 p.m. on Sunday of post-Thanksgiving weekend. That's kind of a time when it's sort of burying it. One of our viewers, Nashville Loose, at a holiday weekend news dump. You could always dump it at like midnight or something, but this gives it a little time to get covered, though. If it was midnight, we'd all get covered in the morning. Let's see here. Kyle Cheney says the sweeping language of the Hunter pardon mirrors the pardon Ford gave to Nixon, but Biden's covers twice as long a period. Trump's pardons to Stone, Flynn, and Bannon were targeted at specific crimes, convictions, rather than timeframes. So again, in case you didn't see this before, President Biden has pardoned Hunter Biden for everything he did between January 1st, 2014 and 2024 and December 1st, 2024. So the point is that he's saying Hunter Biden cannot be charged for a federal crime for anything he did during those years. Now, maybe he did that because he thought that the Trump administration would try to have him charged for something else. But for example, Hunter Biden went to go work at the firm Burisma, which was, owned by a Ukrainian oligarch. That was in 2014. So if you were thinking that the Trump administration, the Trump Department of Justice, was going to try to charge Hunter Biden for things he did for Burisma, well, they can't now because he went to work for the board of Burisma Holdings, which was owned by a Ukrainian oligarch, in April of 2014. So you can see the language says that the full and unconditional pardon covers all the offenses against the United States. Those would be federal crimes, not state crimes. Federal crimes which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024, including but not limited to all offenses charged or prosecuted, including any that have resulted in convictions by Special Counsel David Weiss, which include the recent convictions. Our viewer one day ago says, total proof your politicians hate you. Pure Fire, this isn't really true. Pure Fire said if Hunter killed someone and they find out next year he doesn't get charged, no. If he killed someone in the United States and in doing so he broke the law, right, then he could face state charges for that. This does not apply to state charges. It only applies to federal charges. By the way, I have no evidence that Hunter Biden killed anyone or committed any other crimes, just to be clear. I'm just doing a hypothetical. Tallulah Abel says, very interesting. Conscious Intrusion says, I'm sure they will get him on state charges. Well, he can't be charged by the Justice Department for state charges. In states, the prosecutors within a state would have to do that. Fred Flintstone says, conveniently, no press conferences for 3 days. By the way, thanks to Daniel Rodriguez, who thinks Biden thought Harris would win, which is why he kept saying he would not pardon him. The plan was for Harris to eventually pardon him. By the way, I would not be surprised if that's the case, Daniel. Also, he might have just not wanted to say, I'm going to pardon him. There's an obvious reason for Biden to not want to say he's going to do it and to say he's not going to do it is to not have any electoral consequences from it, right? Maybe he thought it would cost some votes if he said he might do it or didn't say he wasn't going to do it. But maybe there was also some plan to have her do it. I don't know. I have no idea. It's possible. Thanks, Daniel Rodriguez, for your support. Thanks also, MetaGuide, for your support. Thanks to Batman, our member, and Pixel Panda, our member, and Joe, our support, for your support. Joe says, as a Trump voter, the question on the gun form is a Fifth Amendment violation. You have no obligation to answer a question that incriminates yourself. Bit of a side issue, but thank you, Joe, for your support. Thanks, Sharona, our member. Thanks, Bebop and Rocksteady, for your support, who says the president's pardon power is plenary, complete, and absolute. You don't have to agree with it for it to be 100% constitutional and his right. He thinks Trump will pardon the January 6ers, and that also will be his right and constitutional. Thanks, I think Bebop and Rocksteady, thank you. I think it's a he, but I'm not sure, just to be clear. It could be a she. Thank you, Bebop and Rocksteady. Thank you, Lunar Guardian, our member. Wow. Shout out to our moderators. Shout out to our moderators. We have moderating right now. Ruth Krafasi, Roberts Mayqueen, Beth Mythical. Over there on YouTube. Rita says, wait until Trump pardons himself. By the way, it's not clear whether a president can pardon himself. It hasn't been. There's different legal opinions on this. It would maybe go to the Supreme Court if he tried to. Jeremy Thompson says, this is really not that big of a deal. Family helping out family, we would all do it. Let me also thank our moderators over there on Twitch. We have A Moment of Lovely, Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, McBritches, Sarah, and Surly Dev moderating over there. Thanks, McBritches, for subscribing, and Big Boss Now for subscribing on Twitch. Thank you. And also on Facebook, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Ronald Egnor modding over there. Thank you. Linda Belk and Larry on X. All right, let me see if I have any updates for you on this. Wow. President Biden pardoning his son Hunter, not just for the crimes he had been convicted for and pled guilty to recently this year, but also any other thing he did between, what was it? The start of 2014? I gotta pull it up here. Between 2014 and today. Everything from Hunter Biden cannot be charged federally with federal charges for anything he did from 2014 until today. Ed O'Keefe from CBS News writes, Biden concludes this holiday weekend by doing what he vowed to never do, pardon his son, and he leaves tonight on a foreign trip that will put him out of earshot of reporters for several days, meaning there will be little chance to ask him about it or for him to explain himself verbally to the country. I'm going to ask a poll question to our viewers. The poll question is, are you surprised by this pardon? Are you surprised by it? Yes or no? I'm going to post the poll question in the chat, and we'll see what you guys have to say. Are you surprised by this pardon? Okay, over there on YouTube, let's see what you guys say on YouTube. On YouTube, we have, hold on, I'm going to show you in a second what we have. %84 say no. 16% say yes on YouTube. Look at that. Now on Twitch, we have Pull that up. "86% say no on Twitch and 84% say no on YouTube." It's almost the same. Hey, thanks to TSY 1999 for your support. I really appreciate that. Thanks also to everybody who is tuning in and watching. Our viewer, Grim Reaper, says everyone saw it as clearly as a punch. Everyone saw it coming as clearly as a punch from today's Mike Tyson. Matt says, it doesn't matter if we agree, the president decides. Ali Akbar says it was the plan all along. Trouble with the Tree says 10-year blanket pardon, kind of surprising. Northern Grace says not really like father, like son. Could Biden try to pardon himself? If Joe Biden thinks that the Trump White House will go after him, could he issue a pardon for himself? That's an interesting question, isn't it? No, it's not an interesting question. It's just a thought I had. Sorry, I'm going to post this. Hold on a second. Oops. Hold on. Now, again, the presidential power to pardon him themselves is debated. Hang on a moment. All right, so the final poll of this question, 83% of you on Twitch said you were not surprised by this, and 83% on YouTube and Twitch both said you were not surprised by Biden pardoning his son. 83%. Okay, thanks for voting in our poll. Okay. President Biden is immune from all crime, says SCOTUS. I don't think that's what it is what they said. Also, so like what my point is, what if, could Biden just say, what if Biden says to himself, the Justice Department from Trump will go after me for something I did before I was president, right? So he could just, if he thinks that they'll try to go after him, might he just say, I pardon myself for everything I've ever done, or might have done, and that way that would certainly prevent the White House from charging him. Might he pardon other family members? If President Biden thinks that the Trump White House will just target people he knows, and maybe President Biden thinks he thinks this was a politically motivated charge. Maybe he thinks there'll be other politically motivated unfair charges. If he thinks that, could he issue preemptive pardons for himself and other people he knows? If he really thinks that the Trump White House is going to go after them. What do you think? Shin Chan says he should pardon the entire Democratic Party. He can pardon for federal crimes. He can pardon whoever he wants. Yes, Eric Chambers, the president could pardon everyone in the country. I don't see any reason why not. I'm not saying he will. Jack Smith. One of our viewers said, will he pardon Jack Smith? Good question from our viewer. Will Biden pardon Jack Smith? This is interesting, though. This is interesting. I probably should have thought about this before, but you know, the Trump during the campaign, the Trump campaign, Trump was talking a lot about retribution. He initially nominated Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. He says he's gonna nominate Kash Patel to be FBI head, and Pam Bondi, who's his nominee for Attorney General, is seen as a loyalist. These people are seen as very strong loyalists who will do what Trump wants. So now that Biden has done this, he's pardoned his son. Could we see other preemptive pardons? And as one of our viewers said, Jack Smith. Is Biden just going to pardon Jack Smith and say, I'm pardoning Jack Smith because the White House is going to come up with some crazy fake charges against him and they're going to charge him and I'm not going to let them do that. So I'm pardoning Jack Smith because Jack Smith did nothing wrong. I think he's going to. Why wouldn't, if he's already done this, why wouldn't he do more? I mean, I might be wrong, but. No, you don't have to pardon somebody specifically for anything. You can just say, I pardon him for any crime they might have committed. Doesn't mean you know they committed a crime or even you think they did. You can just say, look, it literally says that today. That's what it says in the pardon today. It says, for those offenses against the United States which he has committed or may have committed or taken part in, it's not saying that, I think Hunter Biden committed all these crimes. You're just saying, I pardon you for whatever you may have done. So you can't be charged with a federal crime for this amount, for your conduct in these years. President can do that. President can do that. How can you pardon someone before a crime? You can pardon somebody for past behavior. I don't believe you can pardon somebody for future crimes. But you can pardon somebody for behavior in the past that they have not been charged with yet, or possible behavior in the past they have not been charged with yet. Yeah, you can't pardon for future crimes. Look, right here from the Justice Department, right here. Can the president pardon someone before they are indicted, convicted, or sentenced for a federal offense against the United States? This is literally from the Justice Department website. It would be highly unusual, but there have been a few cases where people who had not been charged with a crime were pardoned, including President Ford's pardon of President Nixon after Watergate, President Jimmy Carter's pardon of Vietnam draft dodgers, and President George H.W. Bush's pardon of Caspar Weinberger. President Trump pardoned Joseph R. Pio and others after they were charged and convicted, but prior to sentencing. So the Justice Department website calls it highly unusual when a president pardons somebody who had not been charged with a crime for behavior. So that is what happened today, because the pardon did not just apply to the crimes that Hunter Biden had been charged with and convicted of and pled guilty to. It applies to all of his behavior between the beginning of 2014 and today. So according to the Justice Department, that kind of presidential pardon is highly unusual. How about that? Could Trump pardon Giuliani for federal crimes, not state crimes? Whatever state crimes he's been convicted of, that those stand. You can only pardon somebody for a president can only pardon somebody for federal crimes. Okay, very interesting. Let's see here. Thanks to Wine Country Stackin' for your support. Who says, imagine if Biden decides to pardon Trump right now, about now also. He could. Could Biden try to play nice guy both sides and pardon Trump? Even though Trump, because look, Trump's going to make the charges go away anyway, right? He's not going to get prosecuted for them. He's going to tell the Justice Department to not prosecute. Although I don't know, there's this question though. There's a question about whether the Justice Department could pick up the case after the fact. In a future administration, could they start prosecuting the classified documents case against Trump? Now, not if Trump pardons himself, but it's not clear legally whether he could do that. But anyways, if Biden thinks that Trump is never going to actually get tried for the crimes, the federal crimes he's charged with, could Biden just say, well, maybe I'll try to look nice and pardon him? Thanks to Ray, our new member. Thanks to Exceedy. Exceedy says it doesn't exclude him from investigations, but he no longer can use the fifth. If he commits perjury, he could still be charged. That's my understanding. So, this pardon does not, it only applies to behavior that Hunter Biden did between 2014 and today. It does not pardon him for future crimes. So, anything he does in the future, he could be federally charged for if he violates the law. But he cannot be federally charged for anything he did between 2014 and today. I don't believe a pardon impacts whether you might be subpoenaed for something in some investigation and you have to still go. I don't believe it says you don't ever have to go to answer a subpoena. But they're not going to be investigating him for crimes committed during those years because they can't charge him for those things. But maybe they subpoena him for some other investigation about somebody else or something. Yes, and if he were to perjure himself in whatever situation in a federal courtroom, he could still be charged for that because it's future behavior. It's not something he already did. Aaron says the only reason he pardoned him now is so they can't make new charges. Well, I mean, his pardon applies to both the charges that exist and other charges that could be charged for that behavior for those years. Thank you, Exceedy, by the way. I appreciate it. Thanks to MetaGuide thinks Biden pardoned his son so he wouldn't be charged with war crimes from the Ukraine revolution as a civilian? War crimes? Would the federal government the Justice Department even prosecute war crimes? I don't even know. I have not heard that before, MetaGuide. That's MetaGuide's theory. Thank you, MetaGuide. Thank you, Captain Jerry Donnelly. Captain Jerry Donnelly, I believe Hunter Biden paid off the taxes he owed, but previously. Okay, hang on a moment here. Oh, a Democratic congressman from Arizona. Greg Stanton posted. Brian Metzger pointed this out. He's with Business Insider. So Brian Metzger of Business Insider points out that Democratic Governor Jared Polis of Colorado and Democratic Representative from Arizona Greg Stanton have come out with statements critical of Biden. So this is Greg Stanton, who is a Democratic representative in Arizona, who says, I respect President Biden, but I think he got this one wrong. This wasn't a politically motivated prosecution. Hunter committed felonies and was convicted by a jury of his peers. And then Jared Polis, who is Democratic governor of Colorado, said, while as a father, I certainly understand President Biden's natural desire to help his son by pardoning him, I am disappointed that he put his family ahead of the country. This is a bad precedent that could be abused by later presidents and will sadly tarnish his reputation. When you become a president, your role is pater familias of the nation, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong. Hunter brought the legal trouble he faced on himself, and no one can sympathize with his struggles while also acknowledging that, no one is above the law, not a president and not a president's son. Pater familias means father of the family, says Google. Patres familias. Patres familias, I guess. Oh no, that's the plural. The singular is pater familias. Hold on. I'm not going to worry about it. Go look it up and click on play, and you can. I don't really care. Hold on. Let me play. I'll tell you what it is. It is pater familias. I have confirmed it is pater familias. Anyways, hang on, folks. Some are claiming that this pardon gives Hunter Biden license to commit federal crimes for the rest of the day. I'm not clear on that. The way it's written, and the reason I've seen a couple people say that online, is that the way it is written, the pardon, it says that it pardons him for anything he might have done during the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 1st, 2024. You know, the thing is, though, I believe the pardon power it doesn't cover future crimes, but can you pardon somebody on a day for everything they're going to do that whole day? So that's it. I don't want to get into it. I'm not a lawyer, but I don't know if legally this pardon would only apply to events today through the time it was actually issued. You see what I'm saying? So I know it says through December 1st, but it's possible that constitutional law would say that since a pardon cannot be for future actions, that this pardon would only go up to behavior done up to the time of the pardon. Yes, and as Get Off My Lawn says, we've said this a number of times, it would not cover state crimes. Matt says, I think it would go into effect when the pardon is signed. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see here. Another House Democrat. Oh, no. We've seen one House Democrat so far, Greg Stanton of Arizona, was critical of the pardon. All right. Thank you, by the way, to, oops, hold on. Hang on a moment. Hang on a moment here. With some more pictures. There's Hunter Biden and Joe Biden in Nantucket, Mass. A couple days ago, November 29th. There they are on July 26th. A quick thanks to Leon Yoder. Leon says Democrats rejoicing at the news, proving again how short-sighted they are. Like when Harry Reid removed the filibuster, the consequences being a conservative Supreme Court for 50 plus years. What will the consequences be this time? Thanks to Bebop and Rocksteady for your support. Who thinks media is upset Biden took away their main talking point and moral high ground when it comes to DJT. Thanks to MetaGuide for your support. I appreciate it, MetaGuide. Hold on a second here. A lot of comments. I'm trying to read some more comments from you guys. Trump himself, I still think, has not posted. I'm sure Trump himself will release a statement soon. Our viewer Rita thinks that the pardon today is a smokescreen distraction for the pardons coming down the pipe. So our viewer Rita thinks there will be more pardons. You know what's really great about social media? So I posted something on X. I posted, if Biden thinks the Trump Justice Department will target other people associated with him, will he issue more preemptive pardons, right? So he might think, oh, they're going to target Jack Smith, so I'm going to pardon Jack Smith. So that statement is not taking a view about what happens. It takes no political sides whatsoever. And of course, because it's social media, you just get attacked. And I have people saying, cry more, cry more. They say, somebody is yelling at me for blaming Trump or something. It's just amazing. You can't say anything. Someone said, let's blame Trump for this. This is your angle? Oh, Trump posted. Trump just posted a few minutes ago. One of our viewers let me know. Hey, let me show you Trump's post on True Social. Thanks to Paul Tissue for letting me know. Trump says, look, does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the January 6 hostages who have now been imprisoned for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice. So there is the post from Donald Trump on True Social. Does the pardon given by Joe to Hunter include the January 6, he calls them hostages, who have now been imprisoned for years? Such an abuse and miscarriage of justice. Devil Doc says, yes, we're pardoning all the January 6ers. Explode says, guess that means Trump is going to pardon all the January 6ers. Jesse says, Trump will pardon them immediately. One might wonder, did Trump plan on pardoning all of them? Is there a world in which Trump was going to maybe pardon some of them, but Biden's pardon of Hunter puts more political pressure on Trump, or makes Trump more want to pardon all of them now, or makes him feel like he has political cover to pardon all of them? I don't know. Thanks, Millennial Diligence, for your support, who says, good if Trump is above the law, so is Hunter. Our viewer ICZ Cold says, it's no question now, I think, about Trump pardoning January 6ers. Wow, Sean TV. Sean, that is so generous of you. Thank you, Sean. I really appreciate it, Sean. Thank you. Also, thanks to, for your support, Brandy, who says Trump can pardon the January 6 people who've been convicted. I'm not sure why he's upset, says Brandy. Thank you also to Bebop and Rocksteady, who thinks most people fundamentally misunderstand or haven't read the U.S. Constitution or the Federalist Papers. So there's the comment from... No, I believe somebody said aren't most of the January 6th state charges. No, the January 6th charges, I believe, are all federal charges. By the way, isn't anything that happened in D.C. federal charges? It's not a state. So just to be clear, I believe that's not true. I'm looking at some websites that say it's not true that all crimes in D.C. are federal crimes. But going back to January 6th, I believe the January 6th charges for the well-known January 6th charges, I believe for people who did stuff at the Capitol, that's federal government facility. And I believe those are all carried out by the Justice Department. I don't know if there were any state-related charges for January 6th, but I would assume that would have to be for stuff that wasn't at the Capitol on federal land. Maybe if somebody did something like on a DC street or something like that. Anyways, that's an interesting legal question. But you can, if you Google, are all DC crimes federal charges? I guess there are some crimes in DC that get handled by local courts. But anyways, that's an interesting question. That's a whole, but it's not a state. I'm not getting into that right now. Wendy says, and a pardon for you, and a pardon for you, and a pardon for you right on down the line. Okay. So in case you missed it, I'm sure you've heard by now, but in case you just joined us, President Biden pardoned his son Hunter Biden. And I'm going to one more time read you a little summary. I'll read you what Biden said. And just a summary of what the charges were, just to refresh your memory. This is from AP. Hunter Biden was convicted in June in a Delaware federal court of 3 felonies for purchasing a gun in 2018 when prosecutors said he lied on a federal form by claiming that when he bought the gun, he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. He was going to stand, he was going to stand trial in September for a California case accusing him of failing to pay at least $1.4 million in taxes, but he agreed to plead guilty to misdemeanor and felony charges in a surprise move hours after jury selection was set to begin. So he was convicted of lying on gun purchase forms and pled guilty to not paying taxes, which I believe he later paid back after. He was going to be sentenced, I believe, on December 12th for the gun charges and December 16th for the tax charges. And he very well might have gotten prison time. Okay? But he's not going to get any prison time or any other punishment because those cases, those federal cases, and all other federal crimes he may have committed between the beginning of 2014 and today, now he cannot be charged for because he has been issued a blanket pardon by Joe Biden. So just to show you again what Joe Biden had to say about this, and remember that Joe Biden repeatedly said, and the White House repeatedly said in recent months, including in June, multiple times, he repeatedly said he would not pardon or commute Hunter Biden's sentence. Explicitly. But he has now done it. As recently, one of the articles we read says, I think AP said it on November 8th, in early November, the White House press secretary said, nope, he's not going to pardon him. Michael Elliott says, we've all seen this coming. The last Viking thinks Joe is wrong as usual. All right, so just a couple things here. Let me just read you the statement again from President Biden. It's an interesting statement. He says these charges were politically motivated. He says, today I signed a pardon for my son Hunter. From the day I took office, I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision-making, and I kept my word, even as I have watched my son being selectively and unfairly prosecuted. He says, unfairly prosecuted, selectively prosecuted, without aggravating factors like use in a crime, multiple purchases, or buying a weapon as a straw purchaser. People are almost never brought to trial on felony charges solely for how they filled out a gun form. Those who were late paying their taxes because of serious addictions, but paid them back subsequently with interest and penalties, are typically given non-criminal resolutions. It is clear that Hunter was treated differently. The charges in his cases came about only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. Again, he's claiming that these charges from the Biden Justice Department only came about after his opponents in Congress instigated them to attack him and oppose his election. Then a carefully negotiated plea deal agreed to by the Department of Justice unraveled in the courtroom, with a number of my political opponents in Congress taking credit for bringing political pressure on the process. Had the plea deal held, it would have been a fair, reasonable resolution of Hunter's cases. No reasonable person who looks at the facts of Hunter's cases can reach any other conclusion than Hunter was singled out only because he is my son, and that is wrong. There has been an effort to break Hunter, who has been 5.5 years sober, even in the face of unrelenting attacks and selective prosecution. In trying to break Hunter, they've tried to break me, and there's no reason to believe it will stop here. Enough is enough. For my entire career, I have followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth. They'll be fair-minded. Here's the truth. I believe in the justice system. I believe in the justice system, he says. But as I have wrestled with this, I also believe raw politics has infected this process, and it led to a miscarriage of justice. And once I made this decision this weekend, there was no sense in delaying it further. I hope Americans will understand why a father and a president would come to this decision. He does say his being a father impacted his decision. And then the actual pardons Hunter Biden for any federal offenses he may have done from January 1st, 2014 until today. So the Trump Justice Department or any other Justice Department cannot charge him for any federal crimes committed between 2014 and today. Pure Fire says, here's the truth. Joe says he won't pardon his son. Artful Nothing says, have you seen Biden lately? Have they seen Biden lately? What has happened? With what has happened, do you blame the man for wanting to spend his last days with his remaining son? Not me. You go, Joe. Eddie Barker thinks the Trump White House is coming for President Biden in his corruption in Ukraine. Army vet thinks this is a case of Democrats being soft on crime. Balls and Strikes says, written by James Comey, LOLOL, sounds like. Hold on a second here. Give me one moment here. Take a few more comments from you guys. Hang on. Hang on. Write to me at @Lookner on X. Oopsie, what did I do here? There we go. Wiggles thinks should have pardoned him sooner. Okay, let me just see something here. The New York Times says Biden issued a full and unconditional pardon of his son after repeatedly insisting he would not do so. The New York Times says it was a remarkable turnaround for a man whose presidency and 5-decade career was built in part on the idea that he would never interfere with the administration of justice. The Times also says many of the allies and critics of President Biden had expected this, even though he had been denying it. He was going to do it. The Times says legal analysts said it was possible that Hunter Biden could receive a year of less behind bars and even probation. Bill Clinton pardoned his half-brother for old cocaine charges, says the Times. Also, as we mentioned earlier, Trump pardoned his son-in-law's father, Charles Kushner, for tax evasion and other crimes. But they also point out, the Times, that the Clinton pardon of his half-brother Roger Clinton and Trump's pardon of Charles Kushner were pardons for crimes that those two people, Roger Clinton and Charles Kushner, had completed prison terms for those crimes. So those pardons didn't get them out of any prison terms because they'd already completed their prison terms. Interesting. Hold on a moment here. The Washington Post says that Biden pardons his son, reversing his long-standing pledge. The Post says many close to President Biden had expected this would come, given his loyalty to his family. Let me hold on a second. Hold on 1 second here. The Post, sorry. Give me 1 second here. The Post says Hunter Biden was convicted in June for lying on a gun purchase form in 2018 when he checked a box saying he was not using illegal drugs and then illegally owning that weapon as a drug user for 11 days. And he pleaded guilty to 9 federal tax charges in September. The Washington Post says it has long been a point of pride with Biden that he had not interfered in the justice system. Here's a picture from the Reuters article there. I will read a few more comments here from you. Honest, our viewer Honest says he never should have said that he would not pardon Hunter. Lies, lies, and more untruths. As I said, he didn't have to say that. He could have just said nothing about it. That was his choice to say something. Okay. Thanks, by the way, to Catherine Martinez for your support. Catherine Martinez and Abu Mohandis. Abu says Biden knows innocent people don't need a pardon. That's what Abu says. All right, guys, here's what's going to happen. So we have been covering this story. Let me just quickly see something. I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about this. This is not the last you'll hear of the story, especially if Trump issues pardons. Donald Trump Jr., by the way, posted, everyone knew he was going to do it. He was just going to do it when it was of no consequence to Democrat electability. That's what Donald Trump Jr. said. Susan Glasser, who is no Trump fan. She's with the New Yorker. Susan Glasser says, and look, I mentioned the same thing. She said Biden in his statement says he talks about telling the truth to the American people, but he doesn't explain how he lied to them before when he said he would not pardon his son. It's true. Okay, so look, Patricia Gray says, I really hate to agree with Donald Trump Jr., but here I am. Sparrow says, I don't think the president should be able to pardon people. It makes a mockery of the justice system. Well, it's the constitutional right of the president. You'd have to change the Constitution. You can see here, Wikipedia, the pardon power of the president is based on Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of the U.S. Constitution, which provides that the president shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. The Supreme Court has interpreted the provision to include the power to grant pardons, conditional pardons, computations of sentence, conditional commutations of sentence, remissions of fines and forfeitures, respites, and amnesties. You can read more in the Wikipedia article if you want, for example. All right, so look, guys, I am going to be tomorrow doing a little bit of traveling tomorrow. So I might be unavailable for most of tomorrow. But once I get to where I'm going, I should be available there. But at the same time, there may be the odd story that I can't cover or whatever. So I'll do my best. But I need to get off the air because I wasn't even planning on streaming tonight because I really need to get stuff prepared. So I'm going to kind of rush off the air. So I apologize, but at least we got to do this stream. So I really appreciate you guys joining for the coverage. By the way, I may post, in addition to posting agenda-free TV streams, I may post some streams on. I may post some stuff on my personal channel while that's happening. So if you want to, you can. I mean, subscribe and follow here, Agenda Free TV, for news coverage, and I will keep doing news coverage. But if you want to see the personal channel posts, that's called Lookner. You can follow there on YouTube. It's called Lookner on YouTube and Look Nerd with a D on Twitch. Lookner on YouTube, Look Nerd with a D on Twitch. So check out that channel as well if you want to, and maybe you'll see some stuff there in addition to news coverage. Lookner on YouTube, Lookner on YouTube, Look Nerd on Twitch. But let me wrap this up. I really appreciate you joining for the live stream. And sorry if I miss anything tomorrow while I'm on the road. But we'll see what happens. Hey, so again, thanks for being here, and thanks for all your comments. Sorry I didn't get to more comments. We got to a lot of comments today. I really appreciate you letting me read your comments. And big thanks to and also I'll post updates. I'll be posting on my X account at Lookner. You can follow me there for breaking news at Lookner on X. Big thanks to our moderators. I really appreciate it. Beth Mythical on YouTube, Ruth Krafasi, and all of our other YouTube moderators, and Kay Larry Body, Margaret Riley, and Ronald Egnor, and anybody else I'm missing over there on Facebook. Thank you. And Linda Belk and Larry on X, and our Twitch moderators, for example, people like Big Ball of Yarn, Good Luck Duck, I Got That Fire, Sarah, and Surly Dev. Thank you. And thanks so much to all of our moderators. Also, thanks Timido for subscribing on Twitch. Thanks to everybody who donated too. So nice of you. Cartoon Maps. Thanks, Cartoon Maps. Thanks to everybody I thanked before for donating. That is so nice of you. I really appreciate your support for the channel, which allows this channel to exist. If you ever want to donate, you can go to agendafree.tv, agendafree.tv. But big thanks to you. Much appreciated. And also, turn notifications on. We have our own notification system. It works great because I don't know when big news is going to happen. That'll send you a notification whenever we go live. It's free. We do it through Discord. The mods will post the link to the notifications. Sign up in the chat. And you can find that notifications link in our Facebook and YouTube descriptions for this video. And also at the same link, if you want, you can check out our Discord chat where you can chat with other viewers when we're not live. A lot of our viewers like the Discord chat. Check that out as well. That's also free. Big thanks to our Discord mods too. Shout out to our Twitch subscribers, people like Chi-Town Bear, Wall Street Shaggy, Timido, Softball Paul, and Tater Mong, and Clearly Crystal Clear, and all of our other Twitch subscribers and our Facebook subscribers. Thank you for your support. Shannon Davis Hughes, Eve Richards, Kay Lowry Body, Margaret Riley, Diane Allworth, Robert Rial II, all of our other subscribers over on Facebook. Thank you so much. And our YouTube members, Patricia Grace, Red Squirrel, TJ Adams, Wickedest Witch, Dr. McRib, Pat W., JK Sinar, Drippy Beats, Crazy Yoda, Brandy, Jerry Remfrey, Aaron Hardy, Mama Dukes, Vice, Jess C., Naomi Nocturnal, R.A. Clark, Raina Hood, Retired 5-0, Leslie Casey, TJ Adams, all of Rick D, all of our other YouTube members, and all of our other viewers. Thanks for watching. Richard Foley, and a Crazy Yoda, the Yarnaholic, and all of our other people watching. Paul Anderson was modding too. Thanks, Paul. All right, so that is it for now. Sorry if I miss anything tomorrow, but more news coverage and maybe other streams on my personal channels or other videos on my personal channel coming soon. But I am planning on having my work stuff with me. So maybe doing some remote news streams. Well, I mean, that will look like this or sort of like this. Okay. Guys, that is it for now. Thank you for joining. We've been bringing you live coverage of President Biden pardoning his son Hunter Biden. Maybe more Biden pardons to come before January 20th. We'll have to see. That is it for now. And thank you so much for watching. And we will see you soon with more live breaking news coverage right here at Agenda Free TV.